What's good? What's good, everybody? Happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. What's up, beautiful people? What's up? I hope everybody is having a beautiful Friday so far. I hope everyone has had a great week. We are at the weekend, y'all. We made it. We made it through this week. Whatever you were going through this week, whatever you was dealing with, we're at the weekend now. We just gotta finish out today strong, and then we get to have fun. But thank you guys for joining me as always on this beautiful Friday, and welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. And as always, it's your host, your boy Jayson Estrera. And today, we are going to talk about history. History was made yesterday by the LA Lakers. And of course, we're talking about Bronny James and LeBron James being paired up in LA. The LA Lakers drafted Bronny with the 55th overall pick. And wow, they made some history, man. They made some history. And with the end of free agency, with the end of the draft, now we have free agency, and we have some players that have been getting signed, over the past couple days. So we're going to be talking about that as well. But first, we got to talk about one of the other things that I really do love to watch, and one of the things that I really do love to follow, which is some UFC. And there's some real interesting
yes
comments that were made over the last couple days. If you guys don't know, UFC 303, I believe it is. Yeah, 303 is taking place this Saturday, June 29th. And it's going to be a rematch between Alex Pereira, which is the current light heavyweight champion, against Yuri Prohaska. And I don't ever know if I say his name right. This is what Yuri had to say, and Yuri lost to him last time. So this is what he had to say.
Everybody knows that, and he's doing these rituals before the fight. Everybody can feel that what's around him and what's going on. So, and I think Alex can't fight without that. So, and that's something what he's using like normally in a fighting. And let's see. This is like right now. This is my challenge to him. If we can fight in a clear way in this case.
Alex, earlier today, Yuri was in here and he said that he.
Yo, this man looks scary as fuck, dog. Anyway,
to use shamans, magic, and spiritual help to compete in the octagon, and he would like to challenge you in this fight that you don't do that and you just perform physically.
Well, everybody have their own spirits. We're not only made of flesh and bone. I found mine. If he did not found his, or if he does not believe, it's not my fault.
First of all, that was cold. If he has not found his, or if he doesn't believe, that's not my fault. Bruh. First and foremost, if you're about to fight someone, right, and that person starts talking about, oh, you got magic, you got shamans, they have a thing that these kids have been saying lately, is the aura, right? When your aura got your opposing fighter saying shit like that at the press conference 2 days before y'all fight, obviously anything is possible. Yuri can very well win this because, and a punch, a kick, an elbow, a knee, anything can change the tide of a fight. Right? And that's not to say that it's lucky. It's the nature of fighting. Right? You could be winning, and then someone lands a clean shot on you, and all of a sudden you're in a world of trouble. Right? And potentially could get put out. We've seen this happen many times. So obviously he has a fighter's chance. But to have that mentality going into this fight, to me, says a lot. To me, it says that you are literally throwing up a Hail Mary and saying a prayer. That's how you intend on winning this fight. Because the last time y'all fought, because this is the second time, the last time y'all fought, you lost with a full training camp. And now you're going to fight this guy on short notice. And granted, both of them are coming in on short notice. But we will see. Alex is a scary dude, and his striking is always sharp. And with the footage that they've been showing lately, he was boxing against an Olympic an Olympic boxer, doing really well, imposing his will, walking the guy down. It was, this guy is kind of different, man. This guy's kind of different. And Yuri is really, really good too, but this guy is kind of different. He's really grown on me, and is a real, everybody want to talk about budding superstars. He is a budding superstar, if not already there, for the UFC. So yeah, that'll be really fun to watch. So that's what I'll be doing Saturday, Saturday night. Now moving on, going back to the NBA, let me see, where is it? We are starting to hear about, some signings that they're getting. And one of which is Jamal Murray, who is apparently signing a 209. They're working towards a 4-year 209 max extension. And obviously, he is a key part of what the Denver Nuggets do. His ability to work with Jokic and their ability to work off of each other is really tough for teams. When games are tight, it's as if, if whatever overall, like if we're talking 2K for Jamal, like whatever overall he's at, 80s, whatever, it's like down the stretch, all his shooting ratings go up. He's just so good in those moments, right? When other people panic, other people rush things, he stays at his pace, gets to his spot, and gets a good shot up. And you like his chances when he's taking those shots. And like I said, he works really well with Jokic. They have chemistry. And I think for them, it's more a matter of adding another star with those two, right? You have, really, really good players in Michael Porter Jr., in Aaron Gordon, in KCP. But I think what we're seeing is, I think they might need to try to add another star, another legitimate star, right? Someone that can also get points, that can catch and not necessarily just shoot the ball, but can put the ball on the floor and make a play, right? Because in a situation like Game 7 of the semifinals against the Timberwolves, where Jokic and Murray were scoring well, they weren't shooting well, but they were getting their buckets, and Minnesota was content with trying to stay at home with those other guys, right? They needed someone else that can go and make a play to either open up a shot for Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, and even for Jokic and Murray, so they can get easier buckets instead of being the two that's always initiating the offense. And I think that's what I think they obviously have a great core. They have great pieces, but if you could add more talent, I think you always do it. You can figure it out, but the talent part is always the hard part to find. So I think it's going to be important for them to try to add another piece for them. So that would be good if they could really lock that down. Let me see, what is this? There's another one. Where is it? Here we go. Now, we look on over to the East, right? And Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat intend to reach a 3-year max extension worth $166 million. And I obviously can see why they would give that type of money to Bam. Right? Bam is a really good player. And I think for me, watching them in that first round of the playoffs without Jimmy Butler, and this is not to be disrespectful, obviously, right? This is no disrespect. This is just what I was kind of hoping for. We expected them to lose that series anyway against Boston. And I guess I was kind of looking for Bam to be a little bit more selfish with the ball. I feel like I kind of see this with Siakam, with Pascal Siakam at times, where it almost seems like they're kind of content with just getting 20. And like they always end up at that number, right? Like they always end up right there. And you know, I was really looking for him to I'm trying to find this right now. Playoffs. Where's the playoff bracket? Is it just here, view bracket. Cuz I want to see how much he scored in that, how much he was scoring in that series, man. He averaged 22.6 points per game. And granted, you know, obviously the Celtics, they got a real solid defense. They got a really, really good defense. But he just leaves more to be desired, right? He took 18 shots in game 1. Let's see, game 2, 13 shots. Let's see. 18 shots in game 3. Oh no. Let's see, game 4. Box score. 22 shots in game 4. How many did he get there? He had 11 of them. 25. Okay. And then game 5. For me, the makes and misses don't really matter. 26 shot attempts in game 5. And he had 23 points. Did not shoot the ball very well. Minus 32. 10 of 26. And for me, I think I just kind of wanted to see him in that range for that series. That 25 shots a game. To show that he's demanding that. Right? Because the reality is this. Just because you can score 20 plus points per game doesn't mean you're a number one option. I think there's some folks watching that get that mixed up. Oh, they're a 20 some per game scorer. That can translate into a number one option. It don't work like that. You can see it in the game. If you watch the game, you could see Are they looking for the ball? Are they hunting for shots? Yes, number one options, best players, legitimate best players on teams, meaning, guys that lead the NBA also. They're going to take bad shots because they're trying to find their rhythm and because they're establishing their dominance and their imprint on the game. And a part of that is taking heat check shots, trying shit out there, just doing things, force a reaction out of the defense, force a reaction out of... They try things, right? And second option players, for the most part, they're a lot more reserved, right? They don't really have to scale their game back because their game is already scaled back. They're typically those players that we say, damn, I wonder what it would look like if they were scoring 30 plus points per game, right? And the best second options are guys who we've seen do that when given the freedom to, right? Like Kyrie's a second option right now, and although I've talked about him even being a little bit more docile in his game, me wanting him to be more aggressive, he's had some big 50 plus, 40 plus dominant games. Brown has had some big dominant games. I mean, Jamal Murray before the injury in that bubble was scoring 50s. And, Bam, I know he had the 50-point game before, and I know he's had big games. I think sometimes we just, like I said, I didn't even care much for like how much he actually scored in some of those games. Just the shot attempts, right? Sometimes you gotta force the action, especially when you have the lesser team. It is what it is, right? And I saw someone say, "Oh, I wish he would develop like a corner 3-point shot for the Miami Heat." Well, he can develop that, right? But if he develops that and he starts living there, then guess what? It solidifies the fact that he's not a number one option type of player. Because bigs that live in that corner end up being second option players, even if they are really good. It's just the fact of the matter. You're essentially there to space the floor, not necessarily to be the one to take 25 shots, because you're not taking that many shots from the corner. And so with the Miami Heat offering him the max deal, what kind of Bam are we going to get moving forward? Are we going to get a guy who's going to really try to take the bull by the horns and try to be as dominant as he can? We've seen it in flashes, right? We've seen it in flashes. But the reality is this team, just talent-wise, they don't have as much talent as other teams. And he needs to really assume that role at this point. And, Jimmy Butler's getting older, and obviously rumors about him being traded. He's, Jimmy's just being Jimmy. And even with him, regular season Jimmy Butler is also like a 22, 23 point per game scorer, right? He's told us basically he don't play full throttle in the regular season. He's docile Jimmy Butler in the regular season, right? And we can't have both of y'all being like that. Someone is going to have to go full throttle. And I'm not saying that Bam doesn't play hard, but especially on offense where you got to start playing balls to the wall and start taking 25 shots a game because your running mate isn't going to do it. And you guys don't have I guess Tyler Hero wouldn't mind, but who would you rather have taking those shots? Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo, right? In most situations, Bam is going to have a mismatch, and I just wish he would take advantage of that. So, with this deal, we'll see what happens with him and the Miami Heat moving forward. And that brings me to the other signing, and they don't have it. But here you go. So, Emmanuel Quickley is I believe that they're intending on signing a 5-year, $175 million extension with the Toronto Raptors. And obviously that's big news for him. That's big news for Toronto. He was on the Knicks. He went to Toronto. He started playing real well. And he's earned himself some bread. I saw some folks talking about this. Oh, we really won out with that Toronto won the trade with OG because obviously Barrett is at home and he's been playing better, and Emmanuel Quickley, 18.6 and 6.8 assists, 4.8 rebounds in, those were his numbers in Toronto. I think someone was saying starter minutes, he's like 22 and 8. I think it all like I was just talking about with Bam, right? What are your expectations out of this person? Because just for an example, right? We saw Tyrese Halliburton really emerge in the beginning of the year as this up and coming star, right? And past first point guard, he was scoring 20 plus points per game, getting 8, 10, 12 assists. But when it came into the playoffs and he needed to step up and be the one to take these extra shots, there were games where he was just non-existent in that sense. Right? I think there's some teams, there's fans that get into these situations and they see players, they're putting up so and so numbers, they are doing this over this stretch, and all of a sudden think that, that's an easy shift to now make this the number 1 or number 2 option on a team, right? Not saying that Quickley can't be that. But like I said, that transition isn't so easy, right? And do I think that we overpaid with OG? Probably. But the thing about his situation right now with the Knicks is, if he were on the Raptors, he would be in a situation where it's his responsibility to now go get 25 to 30 points per game, also play defense, be the number 1 that's his role, right? Especially, Siakam got traded. That would have been his role with Scotty Barnes, obviously, right? But on the Knicks, he gets to be third, even fourth, depending on how Hart and Dante are playing. And I personally think, just watching him play, that's a much more comfortable spot for him. He's capable of putting up those numbers, but just you could tell that the way the player is, their person, just the way that they approach the game, you could see it, right? The amount of shots that they take, the type of shots that they take, that they're a lot more comfortable in that role where someone else has to deal with all the pressure possession to possession. Jalen Brunson does it with ease. It don't even phase him, I don't think. Get the ball down. All right, run a pick and roll. All right, I get a shot up, I get hit, free. Okay, pass the ball, run back down. They're gonna you could tell he's built for that shit. There's been plenty of times where I've questioned if Julius Randle was built for that shit. And like I said, I think Brunson has put everyone in their comfortable spot now, right? He adjusted the hierarchy properly. And, looking at this Toronto Raptors team, everyone is really young, which is great. But what are the expectations going to be moving forward? And I get that, some people hate these conversations, but it's a real thing, right? Who is going to be the guy that's going to be taking 20 to 25 shots for you? And then the next guy on the list is what? 15 to 20 shots. Then 10 to 15. It goes in order, right? And then you figure out what those numbers are and you see where you can improve. Now, I get that Quickley played well, but if you're all of a sudden going to start asking this kid to start scoring 25 and 12, like you might have a long day, and you're going to have to deal with mistakes that he's going to make. Maybe he does want to be that, right? But you're going to have to deal with those mistakes and not have a short leash on him if that's what you want him to do and that's what he's showing you. But if not, then he's going to end up being more comfortable in that second, third option role. And hopefully Barnes can really emerge as your number one guy, and even Barrett. So, I think this is something that they're going to have to, one of those like wait and see situations, right? Everyone is so young. So it's going to just take time. Now, speaking of time, this is a story Kyle Filipowski, where did he play? Let me just make sure really quickly. Says from Duke, right? So he averaged 16 and 8. And he was a 7-foot stretch. Oh no, it's good. It's good. And okay, so this isn't what that is. What is it? So what does it even mean? All right. Well, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just look at some of these. Let's look at some of these. Let's look at some of these tweets. So Daniel Filipowski said on Twitter, "I'm Kyle's oldest brother. You all don't have a clue of the extent of the story that has to do with his girlfriend. There's a story that has been pushed under the table for nearly 2 years now." He said pushed under the table. And, I don't know who this I think this guy breaks news or some shit on Twitter or on X. DM's open, friend. I could take down the post of this blatant misinformation. If Giovanni responds to my DMs, he would be able to get the full story that no one knows about outside of who's involved, Duke coaching staff and his agent. Oh wow, yeah, hit up Giovanni first. I'm not the right NBA newsbreaker for a big story like this. LOL, maybe they'll both go on the low post like he suggested so they can set the story straight themselves. And then Daniel Filipowski responds, other than messaging him on his IG account, don't know how to get in touch with him, but look up and read on Mormon grooming and brainwashing and you'll find some introductory details in there to connect some dots into the story that is going on here. And then there's this as well from Becky Filipowski. And this one is at 5ball in time. So who knows what these tweets are, right? This could be bullshit for all we know. But you are opening a 2-year issue and she is 28 with an end game. 3 years ago to have a diamond ring on her hand when Kyle left Duke. He was still in high school. So the reports are, let me see, that all right, so I guess this is the let me break this down just a little bit more. So with the numbers that he got coming into the draft, right? He was expected to be in the teens, right? In the teens. So in the first round, he had even showed up in the green room there, right? With his girlfriend. because he was expecting to be drafted in the first round, in the early teens at that, right? And he ended up not getting picked. He didn't get drafted until day 2 when, what do you know, the Utah Jazz selected him 32nd overall. So, and apparently this drop happened in 24 hours, right? They were on the show saying workouts had gone bad and interviews had gone poorly, right? Those were the reasons as to why he had supposedly dropped. And then this story pops up. And the other part of this rumor is supposedly this woman, this 28-year-old woman, so she's 28 right now. He's 20 right now. That means that their relationship before, 3 years ago, he would have been 17 years old and she was 25 at the time. And supposedly, she also was like a babysitter of his. That this is years in the making, right? Years in the making, and to end up in a city like Utah where, you know, they have, you know, quite a bit of Mormons in that area. It makes me wonder if this is going to be an issue that's going to be solved, or it's going to keep getting swept under the rug. And it's just a really interesting thing because, you know, we were talking about obviously Jared McCain and the nail thing earlier, right? But I think this is a totally different situation. You know, I think a lot of folks might look at this a little sideways in the locker room. You know, off purely from just not understanding and not knowing what this is, right? And if there's even any signs to those, you know, an NBA locker room, it's high testosterone, a lot of egos, alpha males. If they even believe or even slightly think that you're not in control of your own life, that the woman is the one controlling you, yeah, I don't know how well that's gonna go over. I'm just being 100% honest, right? I'm just gonna be 100% honest. Now, what if somebody calls him a bitch and he fights back? Hey, maybe that changes everything, right? He fights back. But kind of like Jared McCain, I would expect that, you know, he's going to get tested. And if the rumors are true that he had a tough time answering these questions, because you got to understand, right? The NBA has to do their homework. So even if this was a non-story, they had to check it. And I'm sure that they checked it because they're investing millions of dollars into these kids, right? They have to protect their investment. And the fact that he ended up where he ended up and no other team took a chance on him, I think says something. And we'll have to, you know, kind of watch this moving forward because, again, yeah, I don't know, man. It's this feels like a fucking episode of 2020. If any of y'all have seen this feels like an episode of 2020, because in 2020 the murders, it's always like some Mormon family. It's always from some religious it's always some wild shit. So you know, hopefully everything is all right with them. But that sucks if it's true. Family can't get in touch with them, can't celebrate this great moment. The photo that he was just with his girlfriend in the green room. I mean, I don't know if he was with anyone else there. Obviously his agent probably, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it was not the story I was expecting to see on the timeline about the draft. That was talk about a draft of surprises, man. Talk about a draft of surprises. Now, speaking of the draft, obviously the story of it. Obviously, this is the story of the draft. Let's take a look at this.
With the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Bronny James.
So, as we expected, Bronny James got drafted. To the folks out there that thought he wouldn't get drafted, are you good? How the fuck? They've been talking about this shit for the last 2 years. Like, did you think there was any way he wasn't gonna get drafted? Now, first and foremost, congratulations to him, right? Because regardless of what you say, regardless of how you think he got this far, regardless of any of that shit, right? He had, the cardiac arrest scare last year. So, thank God that he's with us and that he got to this point. So I think that's a part of the emotions is coming from that, right? That's to go from where he was to where he was last year to where he was last night. It's gotta feel really good. It's a complete 180. So, congratulations to him and his family for that, right? Obviously, I start with that. Secondly, regardless of whether you think he got a free ride there because of his dad or whatnot, like, he can play. Unlike a lot of these other guys from overseas that we don't have a lot of film on, that's not the case with Bronny. We've been watching him play basketball for a long time, and I'm not saying he's gonna be some great NBA player, but he definitely has the tools to be a good NBA player, and potential can go up and down, in my opinion, in the sense of we don't know yet. The NBA game is so different from college, high school, and overseas that, someone like Luka, who's averaging like 16, 20 points per game, is a 34, 35 point per game scorer in the NBA, right? We don't know. And obviously the game now is so widespread and open. Get a guy like Bronny who has athleticism, he has speed, he has jumping ability, and he has a good shot. Like I said, I think he got a better shot than his dad. Maybe not his dad now, but at that age, definitely I think he has a better jump shot than his dad. And the Lakers, obviously they did it for Bron, but like I said, I think he's a prospect either way, whether it was this year or not. I can definitely see it there, and obviously, like I just said, there's more film on him than any other of these college players, because we've been watching him for so long. So now, before he got drafted, Bob Myers was talking about some bullshit, and we gotta talk about it real quick. Let's see here.
Right now, Rich Paul's calling teams, don't take Bronny James. He's telling them, do not take him, okay? He's saying, don't take him. If you take him, he's going to Australia. So he has a plan and he has a place.
Yo, what the fuck was this, man? Now, I've been talking about it all week. Honestly, I've been talking about it since the start of the finals, about the smoke screens that the Lakers have been throwing out there, right? And I think that, Bob Myers said Rich Paul is telling teams not to take Bronny James. He didn't tell the Lakers not to take Bronny James because there's a plan, and clearly, obviously, if we put all of the rumors together, LeBron opting out to get a no trade clause, right? Probably because whatever his contract is, it kind of ensures Bronny will be staying there as well, right? Keep him in the Lakers, end his career there. The JJ Redick signing, all the signs are pointing towards Bronny going to LA. The whole time. And for whatever reason, the Lakers have been working overtime to try to redirect and cause, do misdirection with the public. JJ had said it in his press conference. He now knows what it's like to be a part of the what the fuck was he? Impression? No, it wasn't Impression. What was it? Let me see if I can find it. I might have gotten rid of it, yeah. But he was talking about impression farming, or it was like impression farming or some shit. Like, and he now knows what it feels like to be in that industry, in that business. And seemingly, that's what the Lakers are doing, because all this did was add a story to a story that was already unfolding. There was no reason for this outside of the fact that they might have been telling the teams to not draft him because they were worried that a team was gonna fuck around and draft him. So yeah, I don't know what the fuck, and I don't know why Bob Myers was the one that broke that story. It's just an odd time in the NBA now. Like when it comes to these free agencies, the rumors, it's taken a life of its own over the last probably like 5 to 10 years. All the movement of the players, who gets what rumors. It's become its own damn near its own business. It almost feels like it's like a side business that goes alongside the NBA. And I guess to get away from some of this like some of the noise around the game of basketball, how does Bronny fit in LA? Now, D'Angelo Russell had supposedly tweeted wow sometime in the afternoon yesterday, and a lot of people were connecting that to the Bronny James draft pick. People were saying, "Oh wow, they're really switching you for Bronny," and he then responded later on saying, it's just him on his podcast shit, right? And there's been rumors for the past year of them getting rid of D'Angelo Russell, and I think it would be a good thing for him, because a player like him that needs the ball in his hand, he's a very rhythm-based player. He depends on finding his rhythm. He's not just always on fire. He's a jump shooter for the most part. So you need to be able to give him space you need to give him a longer runway, right, to get his engine going. And so being in a team where he has a lot more freedom to handle the ball and get shots up, I think would go well for him. So if D'Angelo Russell is to be moved, and let's say Austin Reeves could be moved, now you're putting Bronny in a point guard role, ball handling. Well, I guess he wouldn't be the primary ball handler because his dad is still there. Does he fit that? Right? Now, we obviously saw the spot shooting, And that's something that the Lakers have been needing. They need someone that can hit open 3-point shots because LeBron James and Anthony Davis demand so much attention. So it looks like Bronny can do that. We'll have to see in-game speed against these guys running at him, how he's able to get his shot off and adjust, right? That's going to be number one. So his 3-point shooting, I think, is going to be the very, very first key, right? If he's off of the ball, meaning slot cuts, dunker spot, backdoor cuts, slipping pick and rolls, if they're doing like a Bron to the guard pick and roll, and he's picking for Bron, and he can cut, he could slip that cut, he can go screen and either find the open spot or cut to the basket and use his athleticism, right? I think that's where he could be effective sooner rather than later. I wouldn't say immediately, but to use his athleticism, his speed, his quickness to get to his leaping ability, right? He has a floater, finish at the rim. If you could get him moving off of the ball, going towards the rim on cuts, and utilize his 3-point shooting, I do think he has a spot on LA. Especially with Connect. What's his name? What is his name? Dalton Connect. If he's plays anything like we've seen, aggressive, he likes to get to the basket, and the way JJ was saying, Bron is gonna kind of space the floor a little bit more. It opens the possibility for a Bronny and him to be rim running at the same time, because at Connect's size, if you have a point guard at Bronny James kind of going with him, Connect can have that lane as opposed to having an Anthony Davis there. So we can have the big space out with LeBron and Davis, right? And have guards kind of be meeting at the rim with Connect. And if he can finish anything like he did in college, that'll go a really long way for them. And, like I said, also another person that can space the floor for LeBron, for Davis, for Connect. And, it looks like he really does have a spot on this team. Now, will it translate? We have to see. But the thing about a player like him is, I know we've never seen it work out where a great player's son, becomes a great player. It's usually the other way around, right? Like their dad was solid, mid-tier player, and then their son becomes great, right? Part of that is, those kids are in NBA locker rooms. They're on the floor. They get to see it. So all they've known their whole life has been the NBA. And they're kind of just going through this process of, high school, college, and then the NBA. When the reality is their game has been made for the NBA from the beginning. And I think that's sort of the situation that Bronny's in right now. He has an NBA game. He's a slashing, cutting guard, and his dad is a small forward that's a point guard. And I think that mixes because he's not going to have the ball in his hand. And he, ironically enough, has developed all of the great assets that his dad needs. Dad needs a shooter, a guard defender, and someone that can cut and get to the basket and has athleticism. He really is like a fucking Iman Shumpert that could shoot. Like, it really is kind of like that. You just don't have the same physicality as Iman Shumpert, at least not right now. But that's how it comes off, and so we'll see, because like I said, he really does seem to fit this team. Ironically, as outside of it just being around his dad. So the other part in this that I kind of wanted to talk about is the LeBron James angle. And I know it's annoying because it even annoyed me. Like, Bronny is getting drafted. It's his accomplishment, and yet we keep talking about LeBron. Because the reality is, them two playing together, as I've said before, is a notch on LeBron's career. That's a check mark for his. That's an accolade for him. It doesn't do anything for Bronny James. For Bronny, the accomplishment is making it to the NBA. Right? Like I said, this is more of a nod to LeBron because he's been able to play well for so long that he was able to wait till his son got into the league. Right? So this duo, this pairing, like I said, it doesn't do much for Bronny James at this point in his career. But I will say this, and I haven't heard anyone talk about this yet. What if this really, 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 really drives LeBron James to go and win a title? What if it does? Let me see. What if this is what pushes him? And I'll say it like this, right? Him and Anthony Davis are looking for another star to fill this roster, right? They want to make a push. And at his age, LeBron shouldn't be putting up these numbers. And I would imagine his numbers are going to go down, obviously, a little bit the older that he gets. His window is literally closing. So with that, his window to win a championship is closing, and he knows that. Now, what if a driving factor for him right now is to get not only his 5th championship, but to get his son a championship? Because now that will forever live in Bronny James's resume. He will forever be an NBA champion. I don't give a fuck if he doesn't play. It happens every year. He still gets one. And if, he gets to learn and grow under his dad in this Lakers organization, and then he goes on to have a really solid career, and is already a champion, he gets to carry that with him. So, is that a driving factor for LeBron? I would imagine so. Right? Of all of the things that you can give to your kid, of all of the amazing, wonderful things, he can buy his kid anything. He could literally buy him anything. And for me, a part of me feels like Bronny has only gone through this process because of LeBron. And I fight with that line of thinking, because I also believe that you don't get this far just off of talent alone, right? Like, there's a lot of things that have to go with that. One being how hard you work, how intentional you are with the things you do. There's a lot of personality traits that go along beyond basketball that gets people this far. And I don't give a fuck if you say, he got here because of his dad. He clearly has worked on his game. But a part of me does kind of feel like that, right? And if that is the case, that Bronny is kind of just doing this for LeBron, because the reality is, for Bronny James, the world is his oyster. He could be doing anything that he wants. His dad could help him start any business, connections with anyone, clothing brand, design. He could be a streamer. He can literally do whatever he wants. And if we are to believe that he's doing this for his dad, then one of the greatest, if not the greatest thing his dad can give back to him is a championship ring. And having that experience. Because I would imagine there is not much of a, there can't be much of a better experience than going through that title run. That's why we see grown men cry. Because that road is so difficult, and to get there and get over that hump, even if you're just one of the guys on the team once the playoffs start, you still helped everyone get there. You practice with these, you prepare these guys every day. And I do think that that's one of the greatest things that LeBron can give to Bronny. If we are to believe that, you know, a part of why Bronny is doing this is for his dad. He loves his dad, right? And he's worked this hard to get this far so his dad can, like we said, check this off on his on his checklist. And even if that's not the case, and he does want to be a legitimate NBA player in this league, and he becomes a solid player, he can carry that championship pedigree, that experience from team to team when LeBron does retire. And, you know, hopefully that would be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I know I'm very open with the fact I'm not the biggest LeBron guy. I'm not a LeBron guy at all, actually. I respect everything that he does, his game. One of the two best players of all time. I don't even think you could really debate that, but getting his kid a ring would be sick. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit would be kind of badass. Now, I guess we've kind of spoken about it a little bit, but this word nepotism has been getting thrown around quite a bit.
I don't want to hear
over the last couple days. So let's take a look at what
I don't want to hear these charges. People talking about nepotism. No, the NBA is full of nepotism. Full of it. The ownership level, front offices, absolutely, coaching. Yep. I don't want to hear it all of a sudden because of Bronny James' father plays for the Lakers. Right. It is rampant in this league. That is
I mean, that's something that, if you haven't known, that's something that's been happening in the NBA for a long time. And it's a complaint that I've had about the NBA for a long time. It's a part of the reason why I think some of these teams and organizations are so bad. And what ends up happening is these players end up becoming the scapegoats. When the reality is, people are getting hired in these high-level positions on NBA teams because of their families and friends. That's just the pure fact of it, right? General managers, analysts, they're there, coaching staffs. It's what's been happening, and I think that's why we see game plans are so shit sometimes. That's why we see teams copy and pasting strategies and copy and pasting the way a team should play, even though their roster don't fit that team, because a bunch of these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I get it. There are some basketball players that are just fucking dumb. I get it. Does not take away from the fact that they still worked their ass off on the skill of basketball. They still went through the high school, college, AAU. They still went through that process. It's just everyone can't be smart. But when you're in a position where you're expected to be smart, but you're dumb, now that's a problem. Because NBA players, they can make up for being stupid by having just raw talent, just having, intuition. They don't necessarily have to remember all of the schemes. Oh shit, I think I should run this way, just because, they've kind of gone through this shit. Or maybe they might not know how to do a play in a certain way because their just brain don't work like that. But they can make up for it, like I said, because of their skill and their talent. but they get called to the carpet. They get called to the table when they fuck up. But these GMs, these development, they don't get called out for shit. And people wonder why some of these teams suck. So I'm with them. Don't start this shit with Bronny James. But we do need to start with those managers, those staffs. We got to start with them. Because I think they're a part of the reason why the game is getting diluted. They're part of the reason why statistics is so rampant. Because when you got a bunch of guys that, let's be honest, don't really know what they're looking at when they're watching a game of basketball. They don't understand the concept of pattern recognitions. They don't understand the concept of the certain plays that teams are running. The counter when someone does something, when someone steps up, they don't understand that concept. They do understand numbers. They went to school, statistics. They can do percentages. They can divide two numbers from each other. They could do that shit and then go and give you a percentage and a number. But when it comes to what it actually looks like to guard a pick and roll beyond the numbers, what it looks like when this person has a ball in their left hand, what kind of moves that they can get off, what's the best option out of those moves, they couldn't tell you that. Because they don't actually know the game. Now, granted, numbers and statistics have always been a part of sports, and basketball in particular, and they are important. Knowing which side a player prefers, tendencies, percentages they shoot, very, very, very important. But it's not the only thing. Game within a game. I know folks hear this. Game within a game. Little details. Where to put a certain player. All of those things matter. How is someone setting a pick? Do they need to delay it? Are they coming too early? Are they coming too late? All of these things are a factor. And you need to be able to know what you're looking at when you're watching a game, because everything is happening in real time. And if you can't do that as a staff of the NBA, of an NBA organization, and all you can do is spit numbers at me, and you got this job because of your dad or because of your friend or your cousin or your uncle or whoever the fuck, then they need to fix that. Because I think it'll go a long way in pushing this game forward. Getting actual basketball minds in there to try and innovate the game. We've been talking about defense. Let's get some defensive players in there. Let's actually have them try to come up with something. Try to come up with a different type of zone. Try something. Because like I said, this has been going on for years, and I wish it would stop. I wish it would stop. We see it with coaches, right? Coach get fired, did horrible, go get another job somehow. Like what? Bro, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Now, I guess the other part is what are my takeaways from the draft? And the only thing I can come up with really is this is the wait and see draft. I'm thinking of, past years where, whether it's like Anthony Edwards, I remember Michael Porter Jr. was really popular in high school. A lot of these players, we've watched them play since they were 13, 14 years old. And to me, I don't think it's that hard to use the eye test to be able to tell whether someone's potentially an NBA player or not. And the reality about this particular draft is a lot of them we just have limited film on. And so it's going to be summer league and then preseason when we're really going to see which players can become legitimate NBA players. Like I was saying, I think there's probably going to be a gem from the second round of this draft. Because like we've just discussed, bad teams are bad not just because of those 15 players on the roster. They're bad from the owner to the hot dog stands to the jet. They are bad from top to bottom. Meaning their talent assessment guys aren't that great. Player development guys aren't that great. General manager, you could go down the line. That's why they're bad. And when you get into the second round where the better teams get to really do their homework on some of these guys, they have the ability to really find the diamond in the rough. Because their staff is probably better than the Detroit Pistons' staff. Even if you give the Pistons the top 3 pick, they could still get it wrong outside of guaranteed players that we've seen over the years, you know? So this is going to be one of those where we really just have to wait and see. And I would imagine from a year like this, there's going to be a player or two that really takes offense to the weakest NBA draft label. And they're going to work their ass off and really become a player in this league. And, you know, use that as fuel. So, you know, that's my takeaway. I think, obviously, we're going to get, by the middle of this year, I think we'll have a clear sense of who's potentially a star. And by the end of the year, going into next year, I think we'll have a better understanding of that as well, too. So let's move on to the WNBA side. Now, last night, let's see. Last night we saw the Indiana Fever take on the Seattle Storm, and they lost 89-77. Seattle Storm won behind Jewel Lloyd, who had a big 34 points. Excuse me. She went 10 of 15 from the field, 6 of 9 from 3. Excuse me. And 8 of 8 from the line. She also had 5 rebounds to go along with 2 assists and 1 steal. Anika Ogumike, I don't know if I'm saying that. I felt like she played really well. She had 15 points, 7 of 14 from the field, to go along with 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Now, for the Indiana Fever, you like this scoring. You got 15 points out of Caitlin Clark, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, 4 of 5 from the line, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and a block shot. Kelsey Mitchell had 14, Aaliyah Boston 11, Nalissa Smith 12, Erica Wheeler 15. You know, they just came, you know, a little bit short, right? Like, you like that because they were getting scoring from throughout the roster, right? And you know, that shows to me what I've been talking about, them relying on their core 4, and it just, you know, no one ended up breaking out and having a big game to really get them in it at the end of it. Because, you know, if any one of them had a 20-plus point game, this could have been totally different. The numbers could have looked different. So they fell obviously a little bit short. But I wanted to talk about this because I've been noticing this covering some of these WNBA games. They need to get their online content together. NBA games, when they finish, it's not even an hour. Most of the time, it's like 20, 30 minutes max. The game is already up on YouTube. For the WNBA, you have to wait hours to get the game. And this game in particular, the clear version is on the Indiana Fever YouTube page. It's not on the WNBA page. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you go on the WNBA, the scoreboard isn't even there. They zoomed in. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But they got to get their shit together, man, because they're knocking on the door of really blowing the roof off of this shit and going from a couple stories high building to a skyscraper. But they need to start noticing some of the things that are happening. People are talking about these games. People are actually debating, oh, this person had a good game. Oh, this person. People are locked in. Y'all gotta wake the fuck up, because you can't miss the boat just because you weren't prepared. Miss the boat because your fucking car that you were driving to get there got blown up. Don't just miss it because you forgot some paperwork. Show up with all the shit that you need. Y'all got great content, right? The games are great. The highlights, they're balling. Get it together, man. Like the Instagram stuff is great. Everything else gotta catch up, dog. And I can't even give y'all credit for the Instagram stuff because that's dependent on the teams. So y'all gotta do something, man, because the NBA as a league need to get this together. Now, I think they played before.
They gotta hurry.
Now we also saw, I didn't even want to, because the fact that video was like all potato looking was pissed me off. So I was like, let me just go to this game. Because we saw the Las Vegas Aces take on the Chicago Sky last night, and the Aces took the game 95-83. Now, the Aces did that behind A'ja Wilson, who had 31 points. She shot 10 of 19 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 10 of 12 from the free throw line. Ended the game with 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocked shots. Jackie Young, who just came back recently from injury, added 22 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line, to go with 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. Kelsey Plum also had 21 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, 2 of 5 from the line, to go with 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and a blocked shot. On the other side, Angel Reese had herself another double-double. 18 points, 11 rebounds, to go with 1 assist. She shot 7 of 16 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. Kennedy Carter with another 20-point game. She had 20, shot 9 of 20 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line, to go with 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. She also fouled out of the game. So let's take a look at how this game broke down.
They gotta hurry.
Kennedy Carter feeding Angel Reese, who bodies in and muscles.
Probably right a lot of the wrongs that were ailing them at the beginning of the year.
This is just Gray's 3rd game of the season. 29 three-point attempts per game. They'll make about 9 of them, and Wilson has won 9 points here tonight. Plum looking for it, steps it back, includes the start of the 3rd quarter as well.
Totally agree, and you got to match this firepower.
And Hollywood's on the move. Angel Reese, offensive rebound, gets it to drop.
Wow.
One time, and then they can go to Kennedy the next time.
A'ja Wilson, cross media. They made an exception this time around as Wilson trying to go right at Reese, who's again playing with those two
Here.
Wow.
Aaron inbound pass, and Wilson against the other rookie. Cardoso hit the bucket out of the timeout. And here's Reese being defended by Stokes. Reese turning over that left.
Elated.
The good poker player is what I call it.
Everything is beautiful feed.
Ace has got a free throw, and now that bucket. Carter, or pass to Mabry. Fires from 3, air ball. Reese times the offensive rebound. And Hayes with the push. Oh, Zachy Young, shifty, quick.
Most players of Las Vegas, they do such a good job of putting pressure.
On the move, here comes Plum. She goes back. Largest lead of the game. Allen to Reese against Gustafson.
Wow.
They're having timely cuts to where she can see them and feed the rock.
Plum Pennant will give it up to Allen. They're going to give up that shot to her. Reese puts it up for the Chicago Sky. 95 to.
So, excuse me. We obviously saw the Aces take that game, and it really was just a matter of the Aces just have more talent. A'ja Wilson in the first half had 23 points through the first 2 quarters. She had 23 and 3. And then the third quarter, Jackie Young ended up with 12 points, a big quarter for her. And then in the fourth, Kelsey Plum balled the fuck out and had herself 16 points. And that's the game right there. Their 3 stars, all took their turns. And Chicago just not enough firepower at the end of it. And, looking at this game, looking at, honestly, both the Sky and the Fever, we're seeing 2 teams that really seem to be coming around.
They gotta hurry.
We're seeing Angel Reese really emerge, Caitlin Clark as well. But even the teams that they're on, they're meshing, they're finding rhythm, they're finding what their rookies do well, and utilizing it, but also now utilizing what the other players do well also. You're seeing the team start to play better and better. Unfortunately for the Sky, the Aces are doing the same thing. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but because of their health, they're now starting to find their stride. So that was really, really big for them. Obviously, like I said, it was just the star power for the Aces was too much. And speaking of star power, is Angel Reese the Rookie of the Year? Because she is the youngest player in the WNBA with 9 consecutive double-doubles, which is phenomenal. Her ability to rebound the ball at a consistent level. I mean, A'ja Wilson only had 6 rebounds last night. Reese was all over the boards. And, granted they lost, but her activity, her size, her physicality, she has no problem with those things in the WNBA, right? It's just a matter of building out her skill and gaining experience. But when it comes to the speed and the physicality, I don't think she has an issue with that. Now, if she can learn to, because this is what we were talking about even yesterday, right? She turns here and she's looking for the shot and hasn't put a body on the defender yet, right? I want to see her turn. Don't extend your arm, but dig a little bit of a shoulder into her chest and then put up your layup. Because like I've said, her touch, I say what you want about the way she releases the ball. Her touch is very good. I don't think you could question whether or not she has a great touch for her shot. Like when she's around the basket, she knows how to get a shot in. She does it very well. We can see it over here. She gets the rebound. You saw how she lowers the shoulder right here. She does it twice. Bump, bump, create room. And granted, smaller than her. Gets a good shot off. And if she could do that consistently, there's a lot of times where she's turning. And this is just, it's a detail thing, right? There's a lot of times where she's turning and at the same time putting a shot up when she needs to be looking for the contact, because that neutralizes your defender, right? Their ability to contest your shot. But now it also that momentum is good in basketball. When you get the hit and you kind of get to bounce off of them, it makes it easy to get the shot off. And it creates separation. So we can see that when she's able to do that, great things happen. Her offense obviously is picking up a little bit. If she could start hitting jumpers to go along with this, she could be a really, really scary player. And like I keep saying, I don't think her skill has even developed to the point where it can be. And I think that's super scary that she's already a double-double machine. Now, to talk about the Las Vegas Aces, as we mentioned, they've been dealing with injuries all year. Jackie Young just came back. What's her name? It's not Wheeler. Chelsea Gray has just played her third game yesterday. And you know, everyone was talking about A'ja Wilson through the first month of the WNBA, as they should. But what we're seeing now is, you know, A'ja Wilson can be A'ja Wilson. She has the ability to balloon her numbers when she needs to, when she has to make up for missing players, right? When there's numbers that are missing, points on the board missing. In that time, they were depending on Kelsey Plum to be that person right next to her. And obviously she was having a difficult time because you have to make up 18 to 20 points for Jackie Young. And so with Young back on the floor, it kind of puts everyone at ease. And with A'ja Wilson's play recently, she's been the amount of buckets that she's been getting. And by the way, she's got to be one of the best, if not the best, mid-range scorers in the WNBA. Like, her mid-range looks fucking flawless. Her footwork, her spins, it looks phenomenal. But it puts everyone in their right spots. We kept talking earlier about, you know, sec options, right? Jackie Young is a bigger player than Kelsey Plum. So the amount of players that she's going to have an advantage on is going to be more than Plum. Shots are going to be more difficult for the slightly smaller player. It's just a fact. And so Jackie Young able to score with A'ja Wilson, especially right now, the way that Asia's been scoring, it lets Young ease back into the offense. It doesn't put so much pressure on her to go and get 25 to 30 points, right? Because Asia's doing it every game. And now it relieves that pressure from Kelsey Plum. She gets to play her game, pick her spots, and they get to have this synergy and look for the Las Vegas Aces to start climbing up the standings. Because they just have so much firepower when they're healthy. And you have an A'ja Wilson who seems to be unlocking another part of her game. Yeah, looks like a scary team going, nearing the halfway point of the season. And like I said, it really is coming down to health. Just like basketball in general, right? The healthier team is going to be the better team. But yeah, we just see them and they're balling the fuck out. But yeah, man. Yo, I feel like I've been yapping. We've been talking about a lot of shit today. But wow. Whew. An hour and a half. All right, I gotta shut the fuck up, yo. I've been talking for way too long. But as always, thank y'all for hanging out with me. Thank you for joining me and, hanging out for another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. It helps the channel grow because we are going to take this to the moon. Trust me, I know it. But yes, please, thank you for coming on this journey with me. And you could have been anywhere on the internet, but you were here with me, and I really appreciate that. So thank you. Everyone have a great weekend. I'm going to be watching the UFC tomorrow. I'm going to see what WNBA games are on, and we'll get back to it on Monday. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all later. Thank you. Peace. Have a great weekend, yo. Have a great weekend.